Today I'm going to build a compost bin out of wood pallets. I'm going to show you how to do it. First, let's talk about the wood pallets you need to choose. You need 4 of them for this project, and you need to choose ones that are 4 feet long, near about. Sometimes they differ. Now, you need to choose pallets that have all their slats at least on one side. And they need to be in good condition. No rotted ones, no treated material attached to the wood pallet, because treated material has arsenic and other things in it that will leach into your pile. Now, this one has a bit of paint on the outside of it, and I will put this side on the outside. Not too worried about the paint. So, you need to make sure your slats are properly attached to the pallet. You see this one right here at the end is kind of loose. So I'm just going to put some finishing nails up there, and then we'll be good to go. And then we'll move on to the next step. As I said before, the pallets that I've chosen are 4 feet long by 3'6". Now I'm only going to have this at the 3'6" height. I am not going to do it the other way to where it's 4 feet tall. I want a 4x4 box basically. 3 feet is a good height, 3'6". Now the reason for that is 4x4 for a pile is really healthy. The size of that will help it heat up, and my compost will process quickly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to mock this up and make a box. It's easy. I like to do things the easy, simple way. Why complicate it? Alright, now I have 3 sides kind of leaning to each other. And the back side doesn't look necessarily square, but it will be in a second. Now, you may notice after you've picked all of your pallets that they're not exactly the same size as each other, but these are in the area, and the ground isn't perfect. It doesn't really matter, just as long as everything's in the area. If you want it to look nice, work harder. I just want it to work. So now comes to this: my tie wire and my dikes. Alright. I'm going to take off about 2 feet and cut that. And then I'm going to do about another one of the same length, about 2 feet or so. And then another one. So it's 3 for each corner, and I'm only tie wiring the 2 back corners for the moment. The front panel is going to be removable to where I can get into my pile and turn it. Alright, so I've got them squared up to each other. I've eyeballed it, looks fine. Got my wire. Now I'm going to go behind the inside slat of the back panel, and then around the inside slat of the side panel here, up at the top, cinch it tight and give it one wrap, and then I'm going to pick up my dikes, which should be close to me, grab it at where the wires meet, give it a couple of turns to tighten it up. Don't turn it too many times or you'll snap the wire. That feels nice and tight. Now I just snip the wire off, and I make sure I don't leave these on the ground for my animals to step on. I get the one I dropped. Alright, now that I've got my top wire in, I'm going to do the middle and the bottom. And I have to point out that it's much easier to do the next two from the inside of the bin. Alright, I've got my two back corners wired together. Now I'm going to stand up the front panel. Get it in here, it's going to fit inside. Adjust this a little bit. You want it squared up. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to temporarily wire it in to where it stays in place. Just temporarily. So you need 2 strands of wire. You just do it up at the top. Again, you need about 2 feet of wire, at least 18 inches. It's not 2 feet. You just give it a nice twist. I just want it to stay in place. Don't let it fall. Before we move on, these are 4-foot fence stakes. I found these in the garbage. I dumpstered a few of them, and that is my stake driver. Alright, so I'm going to put the end of this stake right at the base here of the pallet. I'm going to put my fence driver on it. And I'm going to get it as close as possible and just gently pound it down. These aren't strong, these are not strong fence stakes, so I don't want to beat it up with my driver. The driver is heavy. You don't need much force. You just need to let gravity do it for you. There, that should be good. That's about 1.5 feet. All right, let's tie it down. Alright, I'm sure you noticed that it seems to be at a slight angle to the pallet. That's fine. Now I'm going to put this in, just a piece of tie wire behind the outside slat, pushing the stake with my thumb. I pull the tie wire tight, and I give it a couple of twists. Then I pick up my dikes, put the dikes right on where the wire is twisted, and give it a couple of turns. It's a good idea to make sure the tie wire is tight. I didn't have that as tight as I wanted it, so I adjusted it, and now it's tight. There we go. This will keep the pallet stable as you fill it up. Cut the ends off, and I'll do the bottom one. Now I have some wire I've cut that's about 3 to 4 feet long, and I'm going to do one at the top and one at the bottom. I have 8 pieces of wire. That's 4 for each side. So I put it around, and here at the front here, you want to twist it a few times, just by hand, not with the tool this time. Twist it a bunch of times. That's good. Now I'm going to do one at the bottom too. This is what it should look like. You want 4 of these. Basically, same thing on this panel. Go behind the outside slats. Make sure you have the same amount of wire on each side coming around. Pull it nice and tight. good tight twist. You can tighten this up with your tool if you want. Let's give that a try. There we go, that's nice. But not too many twists on this one because you don't want this to break. Just twist it a bunch of times and then pull it straight. I will do one down there and the other two on that side, so you get the basic idea. You want this coming out like this. You want at least 1.5 feet, maybe a foot would be good, of wire coming out. Alright, before I put in my removable panel, I need to turn the soil here. Years ago, I used to dig this down. It was when I lived up north in a colder climate. I would go about 1 foot down and I would insert my bin that deep. These days, I just turn the soil real good. That invites the earthworms up into your pile. And it also helps for drainage. So let's do that and then put it in the panel and we'll be done. Alright, I'm just going to slide my panel in, get it nice and squared up. And these wires that I attached earlier, I've just kind of twist around each other. Not too many times, just tight. And I bend them over to the side. Kind of tuck them in a little bit. Same thing at the bottom and on the other side, the other end. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but basically these work. You just tuck them inside here and they're out of everybody's way. It doesn't matter if this is loose a little bit, it's not going to go anywhere because you have it attached at 4 points. Now if you're worried about this being loose like this, you can always put at least one stake on one side and stake it down and do like a hinge thing, like put the stake right here, but this works for me and should work for you too. Now wood pallets are easy to find. You can find them behind grocery stores, Walmart, construction sites. These were illegally dumped on the side of a road somewhere and I picked them up. There was a bunch there and I got what I needed. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something and I will see you next time.